Hi, thank you for joining me for this mini session. Thank you also to Joe and Graham for inviting me to come and talk to you while we're on this lockdown as part of the BrewEd FE series. My name is Amanda Turner and I'm the programme leader at the University of Bolton for our generic PGCE programmes. I have a background in further education. I started my first teaching job in a college back in 1995, and I've been very engaged within FE ever since and very excited about the FE sector. What I would like to talk to you about this afternoon is about incidental learning. This is a topic that I researched as part of my PhD thesis and is something that I feel very passionately about. It's something that I'm also fortunate enough to have been given a book deal from Palgrave to write my thesis up into a book, which is due out next year, so in 2021. So I'm going to try and summarize it into a very short 6 or 7 minutes. So I hope that you'll find this interesting. So incidental learning was first defined by Marzick and Watkins in the 1990s. It tends to be associated with informal learning. However, I believe that incidental learning can take place in any kind of situation, whether that's informal learning or as part of formal learning as well, and should be seen as a type of learning in its own right. So what makes incidental learning different and unique is that it needs some form of disjuncture to take place before incidental learning can take place. So it's through disjuncture, something unseen that happens that causes an individual to change their practice because of that disjuncture. And that's when we can say that incidental learning has happened. So that can take place as part of practice while you're actually in practice. So when you're actually teaching and within a classroom environment, for example, and you need to change your practice immediately because of some sort of disjuncture that's happened. For example, you may have planned your lesson and be very confident about what it is that you want to teach. And then when you actually arrive into that classroom, something might happen, such as the IT equipment might not work. So immediately you're forced to change what it is that you wanted to do to take that into account so that you're able to adjust your teaching so that you can carry on. You may choose to use an alternative method of delivery, or you may draw on your students. You might go and seek help from an IT technician. It depends on your experience and where you're obviously working within the sector. So that was something that Sean called reflection in action. So actually where you're forced to reflect immediately to make an immediate change to what you were doing. And that goes into what we call your tacit knowledge base. So very much your intrinsic knowledge is developed in light of that experience. However, what incidental learning, in order for it to become more part of your explicit knowledge, it's really important that you reflect after the experience as well. And you draw from that experience so that you're more aware of what it was that you did, how you coped, and what you would do if you were going to do that again in the future, if you were faced with the same situation again. You're more equipped because you're prepared for that. So that was where we can say that incidental learning has helped you to develop your practice. However, it is better for incidental learning to be something that you reflect on with your colleagues, your peers, whether that's a mentor, a more experienced other, working at the organisation with you, or at a different organisation. But it's this collaboration with others that is really important when we're trying to build our knowledge, and build our experience, or learn from our experiences. So one of the things that we think about when we're looking at incidental learning is also how we can build professional identity through incidental learning. At the moment, with the COVID-19, we're very much, all of us, facing a massive disjuncture. And it's how we're coping with this changed circumstances, and how we can make sure that we're learning from that, so that when we move into the future, in our careers, when we go back to our traditional classroom settings, that we are able to recall what it is that we have learned. Now, through this experience, we are certainly using more different types of software, such as Zoom, and other platforms such as Teams, to engage with our students, to engage with our other colleagues, so that we're not isolated. We might be physically, but we can still draw from that, from each other, and we can still engage with our students. And that is causing some real positivity, I think, in the education sector, where we are beginning to realise how we can develop or we are developing resilience, and how that can develop our professional identity. So our confidence might be developing through the way that we're able to cope with this very dynamic situation that we found ourselves in. And what we often talk about is how dynamic the FE and skills sector is. Anyway, so we're very used to developing these survival strategies, and I believe that at the moment, what's really important is how this incidental learning is shaping that professional identity as we move forward, as teachers and in our careers. So one thing that I always say to my trainee teachers is, think about how you're building a tool belt of experience and knowledge and skills as a major resource when you're working in a very dynamic situation. So, you know, think about how this experience is helping you and equipping you with building that tool belt and what you're learning from that. So thank you very much for listening. I hope it's been interesting and given you something to think about. Please have a look at more information about incidental learning online. You can always follow me on Twitter, Amanda_Turner01. I look forward to receiving feedback and hopefully speaking to you soon. Thank you very much.